What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, even though I am enjoying the majority of the content that was introduced with Season 1 Reloaded for multiplayer, I gotta be honest, the way Sledgehammer has been handling a lot of things has been slowly disappointing me more and more and more. And after hearing this recent news here and then seeing nothing being brought up for multiplayer whatsoever, it's further confirming that, as the months go by, I don't know if us multiplayer fans are going to be seeing anything drastic, big, or, game changing that will really spice up the mix and make people want to go ahead and come back into the experience. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, before we go ahead and dive deep, if you do enjoy what you hear today, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell. We post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern Time. And also, we do go ahead and stream over on Kick. So if you guys are interested, that stream usually starts around 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can find a link to that, as well as all my other socials down in the description of this video. Now, I do want to say, I have to give props, obviously, when props are due. They did a pretty good job with fixing up the game after it busted when it launched. Within the same night, they already went ahead and overhauled everything and got everything working properly so people can play the experience. And of course, there's still bugs here and there that need to be polished off. But can you hop into the experience? Are things tracking? Can you actually do things properly? Yeah. For me personally, at least, from my experience, everything has been in line. Of course, leave your opinions down below in the comment section how your personal experience has been when it comes to this overall update, if it's working a little bit better or if it's still busted. But from my perspective, I have to give them a little bit, of some props here because they did it pretty quick compared to other times in the past where it honestly takes months to get the game back into a playable state. I mean, I even remember back in Vanguard when this lasted the whole life cycle of the game from day one to literally day zero and probably still right now in this current date. But the party system was just a disaster. I spent more time trying to party up with friends than I did actually playing that game. Sometimes it would take up to close to half an hour just to get individuals into the match. And this is the only Call of Duty game it has ever happened in. It was absurd, and it never got fixed. So, like I said, the quickness that they put out with this current update is drastically different than the past. So, obviously, I have to give them some appreciation for that. But just recently, I saw a post, and I think a lot of you guys saw it as well over on Twitter. Again, if you guys want to follow me over on there and see what I'm saying, keep up to date, and also you can hit me up in the DMs. By all means, I got a link to that channel down in the description of this video. But as you can see right here from Call of Duty Updates, we've released a minor update with balance adjustments to the MTZ Interceptor marksman rifle and the WSP Swarm submachine gun. Both weapons have had their damage values reduced to varying extents. And honestly, when I saw this, I was pumped because I didn't read the hashtag Warzone at the top. All I read was that, we've released minor updates with balancing to weapons, and I saw the Swarm getting nerfed. I'm like, okay, here we go. The community said that this was, we saw no purpose with the buff to the Swarm was already drastically insane as it was. It's already, able to compete pretty much with all the assault rifles to a certain extent, and it severely outweighs all the SMGs, so it was not really any reason to buff it. You could return it back to its normal state and start working on other SMGs, Like I said, then I saw Warzone. I'm like, yep, to be expected. I don't know why I would expect anything out of the multiplayer side of things. I guess add a little bit of hope here. And I can't lie, they've been doing good with the weapon tunings. Even when it comes to, them nerfing the DG and stuff like that, making the burst, weapons a little bit different. I gotta be honest, I still enjoy that burst weapon. I don't find it too bad after what they did to nerfing it. And all the other ARs across the board feel pretty nice. But again, we have to hyper focus on the SMGs here. We said it time and time and time again. The maps don't fit around SMGs whatsoever. They are not like they were in the past. Modern Warfare 2 2009, when we had these maps, we had the suppressed UMP, which could two-tap at all different types of ranges. It was completely busted. I think it was bugged, actually. That's why it could, be so insane, especially with the suppressor. And honestly, all the other SMGs were pretty dang good as well, and they always were able to compete. But again, now in Modern Warfare 3 2023, we have a different problem. These SMGs do not carry over nicely. Now, on a map like, the new map, Rio, or any of the other maps they added into the game that are Sledgehammer originals, they feel great for SMGs, but they were made around this gameplay experience. They were made from the ground up to fit this style of gameplay. The Modern Warfare 2 2009 maps were not. And even though they're fun to play and, they're very nostalgic, you have to admit they are absurdly AR dominant in this game. So we want buffs around the SMGs. We want to make them more relevant, and we also want to see nerfs to other weapons to, kind of balance out the meta across the board, especially until we can get more new content, when it comes to original stuff in Modern Warfare 3. Like, I'll be honest with you guys, I am kind of, insulted that the Swarm got a buff And the AMR got completely ignored. I mean, how backwards is that? A gun that is already, dominant enough got something to make it even more dominant. And a gun that has been lacking for a long time that could use huge improvements just got completely ignored. Not even a slight bit of a touch to it. Nothing. Just completely ignored. Honestly, it's weird and once again, kind of insulting. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. And also, something else that's been going on in the community over on Warzone is that they're, going ahead and messing around with the airstrike notification, something that will drastically change the gameplay flow. And, whether it's good change or bad change, that's up to you guys. I don't know if I have many, Warzone lovers out there, but if you do play Warzone, let me know what you think about this airstrike notification thing. But as you can see from Modern Warzone, airstrike notification markers will appear on your minimap in Warzone with a future update. Major W when this gets added. But I've also seen, people say that it's, a big L potentially and so on and so forth. But basically, it's going to show up on your minimap as a strip of exactly where the airstrike is going to be going. It's not going to be a mystery. You're not going to have to wonder. You can see exactly where it's going to be. But again, all of these additions shake up the gameplay flow of Warzone. They're always introducing things that will change things around and make people do different things, make people play with different weapons, play with different perks, just variety. Whereas in multiplayer, again, they've done good, when it came to the beta phase and also, before the holiday break, they were really working on this game and making sure it's playable. But for some reason, it just feels like the multiplayer experience is just forgotten. I'm not saying the developers aren't working because they are working. The fact that they got this huge update out overnight when they don't have to be working. I mean, they stayed up until 3 a.m. to get this sucker out. Impressive. They're doing their job. They're definitely hustling. But again, I don't know if it's the top dogs, the heads, but they are prioritizing all the developers' focus on Warzone. That is where all the, creativity is going. They will make sure multiplayer is, good and playable and not just an absolute bug fest. But when it comes to variety, mixing up the flow of the game, and just, trying to give more interesting gameplay, features, we don't really get that on the multiplayer side of things. And I'm a bit stressed that we're never going to get that. The experimental playlist is a complete goner. We haven't even heard anything about the first experimental playlist. Complete silence. And again, nobody's talking about it. I guess it is what it is. When nobody talks about it, I guess nobody's going to ever notice, or they won't really have a reason to go ahead and discuss things. And I mean, will they even discuss it in the first place? Because what about the skill-based matchmaking talk? They haven't even touched upon that whatsoever, and they said weeks will be able to hear about that. But that experimental playlist was a great feature that allowed the developers to mess around with things without officially implementing them into the game, which is huge. You can try so many different things. And they mentioned so many different things like, non-disbanding lobbies, loopable kill streaks. They've mentioned so many different things, but again, where is it? And they haven't even touched upon how to even vote on the first one. I think you had to go through some third-party website or whatever to even vote on the first, experimental playlist. But they don't tell anybody this. There was literally no way of knowing this unless you did the research for yourself to try to figure it out. I made a video about this a long time ago, and I knew it was going to happen. I said they have to make it extremely easy. Very accessible. It has to either be a pop-up, survey that happens on screen in-game, or it has to be some QA code that you could scan or some instructions so they know. But I said if they make you go to any type of website to do this, more than half the people probably wouldn't even bother. It should more than likely be in-game, an in-game survey. And here we are, over half the people didn't even bother, and I feel like the game mode has been completely forgotten. That would have helped shake things up, but again, I don't think their priority is on shaking things up with multiplayer. We'll see. We'll see with Season 2 and also with what they do within the upcoming, weeks, months. But, all I remember is that they promised that they wanted to go ahead and shake up the meta. And to shake up the meta, you have to make good adjustments. And these adjustments did basically nothing. I really do see the same stuff over and over and over and over again. The Holger was already a really good gun. They gave it a slight bit of a buff. The MTZ, I don't even think they touched the MTZ assault rifle. And that's one of the best guns in the game. It's a reason why the competitive league completely canceled that bad boy out. The MCW got a nerf, but I feel like it's still extremely efficient. People enjoy it all the time. The burst guns got a nerf. Still feel pretty solid in my personal opinion. The only thing I could really say out of this update that really made me happy was the Striker 9 buff. That was phenomenal. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's really it. Man, I don't know, but I want to know what you guys think down in the comment section. Do you think that Sledgehammer will still prioritize multiplayer, or do you think that we're going to run into the same situation that we usually do, where Warzone always gets prioritized overall? That's all I see on my feed, guys. I don't see anything else. Nothing about multiplayer whatsoever. It's always about Warzone. Good features, good changes. Even if it's bad changes and bad features, it's still being talked about. Multiplayer is always just, it's a straight line. And if the game turns out bad, sometimes they don't even bother fixing it up, and the game just stays, in a bad state and stale. But the only thing to really look forward to when it comes to multiplayer is the new weapons they potentially drop, and also, new maps. And obviously, they've been doing a lot better. I've said this multiple times with events and, free camos to grind for. It's been really enjoyable. I'll be honest, it's been really enjoyable. But I'm talking about, the core game itself. I want to see meta shifts. I want to see things that shake up the gameplay. I want to see perk adjustments. I want to see, different perks have better counterplay. These things are very crucial, and they're not touching upon any of it. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. We post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern Time. And last but not least, we do go ahead and stream pretty much daily over on Kick. If you guys are interested in that, I have a link to that down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.